Welcome to the Ion Annapolis Local Business Spotlight. There are thousands of locally owned businesses in the area, some small and some large. Some you may know and others you don't. But one thing they all have in common is a great story, and we want to share it with you. Join us every Saturday as we talk to the founders, the owners, and the managers of local businesses you have come to know and love, and those you will come to know and love. Now here's your host, John Frenay, with this week's Local Business Spotlight.
All right, we're sitting outside of Rise Up Coffee on a beautiful spring. I guess, no, we're probably officially almost summer now. But we are here with Tim Schnupp, who is the principal of a business that is not yet open, and I'm kind of excited about it, but it's called the Dink Severna Park, right?
Correct. And actually, we're going through a rebrand phase. I should have told you that it's going to be rebranded as the PutAway. We ran into some trademark issues, so we're going to be rebranding under the PutAway of Severna Park.
Okay, well, then that begs the question is, what is a Dink and what is a PutAway?
Well, both are pickleball shots. We wanted the name of the company to elicit a direct tie to pickleball because it's such a new and growing sport. So the dink is a type of shot that you take at the net where you're kind of just lofting the ball right over the net into the area that is in front of the net on each side called the kitchen. So the point with the dink is that you really prevent your opponent from slamming the ball back in your face or making what is called a put-away shot, which is you're putting away the point or you're putting away the rally.
Fair enough. Well, now how do we refer to it? Is it the PutAway?
The PutAway, yes.
Okay, so the PutAway will be opening up in Severna Park, Millersville area, right?
Correct, yep.
And you're in August.
In August, yeah. It seems like it's so far away.
Well, where are you going to be located?
We are right on Naholes, which is at the end of Benfield. So if you go west on Benfield and cross over the 97 exits, it stops at Naholes. And if you make a left on Naholes, it's about a quarter mile down on the right.
Okay. And you've answered a question for me without even realizing that. I've been here for 20-some-odd years, and I always Nagels or something like that. So I'm assuming that a landlord or somebody at some point told you it was Naholes.
Well, so my wife's Spanish, and so that's I believe it's a correct pronunciation.
I will go with it. Well, what is your background? I mean, you're opening up a pickleball facility, a big pickleball facility, the first pickleball facility here in Anne Arundel County. I mean, what's your background? What got you into pickleball?
So I kind of have a random background. Traditionally, I'm a pharmacist. I went to the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy and graduated in 2013. Practiced at independent pharmacies for a couple of years, which is really what I wanted to do, is open up my own independent, only to kind of realize that it's a dying business and wanted to try something else. So I had the opportunity to get into the cannabis industry, and this is in 2017. I started one of the first quality control independent testing labs in Maryland called Atlantic Test Labs, which coincidentally is right down the street from the Dink or the PutAway.
Okay.
So we started one of the first labs in Maryland and grew that lab for about a year and a half, and I realized the opportunity in the cannabis industry was really to make a multi-state play. So I joined another group who had a lab in Maryland, and then from 2019 to 2022, I helped them expand into 3 additional states.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we went from Maryland, I opened up the lab in PA, opened another one in Florida and New Jersey as well. So by the time I sold my equity out of that company, we had 4 labs across 4 states, 60-plus employees.
Let's talk pickleball a little bit. Now, I have read all around the world that this is the fastest-growing participatory sport. I was corrected that soccer has now taken over NASCAR as far as a worldwide spectator sport. But pickleball is the fastest-growing sport, and it seems to have come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
At least from my perspective.
Yeah, it really does. I started playing pickleball back, I believe, in the beginning of 2022. And I, like most people, thought that it was a silly sport, had a silly name, and it was really reserved for older folks.
Like me. You don't have to hide it. Okay, I get it.
No.
He's giving me the side eye here. I gotcha. Okay.
But my neighbor talked me into playing. There was a league in our local neighborhood. It's called Kyle Yates Memorial Pickleball League, and it was played at the Shipley's Choice tennis facility, and I really wanted to try to do something outside of work and family. And I tried it and got hooked, like a lot of people do.
It's funny because when I work out at the Pit Moyer Rec Center, sometimes they'll have the pickleball court set up down there in the gym. And typically when I go in the morning, you sit there and see, and I look down there, and as I look at myself, I realize that I don't think myself as old as I am. So I look down and I go, man, look at those old people down there doing it. And it seemed like an old person's type of a sport, but that's not the case.
No, it is not. It is not. And as the sport continues to evolve, you'll see, and you're seeing a lot younger generation, the younger generation getting into it. I was at my son's flag football game, and one of the referees, I was wearing the dink shirt, and he says, "Wait, are you opening that place at the end of Benfield?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he said that he's a high school kid. They play in a mixed doubles tournament back behind the Giant off of Veterans Highway every year. So did
it have an effect on the game?
No, absolutely not. We didn't get any favorable calls that game.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you, I mean, this is good for something pretty much all physical levels. I mean, obviously you want to match. I mean, you don't want to match, a 70-year-old guy doesn't want to match with a 23-year-old.
Well, actually, that's a really interesting thing, and I think it's one of the most beautiful components about pickleball is that you cannot look at a person and look at their physical appearance and tell how good of a pickleball player they are. I mean, I'll give you just a quick anecdote. I played in a tournament with my neighbor, and our first game was against a guy our age and what looked like to be his father. So he was in his 80s, had a knee brace on, and we kind of jokingly looked at each other and were like, hit it to the guy in the knee brace. And man, they just punished us. They absolutely. We walked away from that game very humble, big dose of humility, and I think that's when I really realized how interesting the sport is. You can't tell how good someone's going to be just by looking at them.
That's awesome, and I mean it can be as active or as, I don't want to say inactive because I mean it's an active sport, but it can be as ferocious or as non-ferocious as you want, right?
Exactly. It can get. I've seen some pretty intense games for folks that are more competitive, and I also see the folks that just like the social aspect. I mean, they like playing the game and they're competitive during the game, but it's more of a social, it has a more social component, and that's one of the real big things that drew me to the sport and the business is the social component.
Well, let's talk specifically about the PutAway or the dink,
formerly known
as the dink. You're like Prince. You're like the prince of the pickleball world there. But how big? What is this place going to look like when it's done?
Our model is really going towards the higher end and building out a higher end pickleball facility that people can enjoyably spend a lot of time at. So we went with a larger space. It's almost 24,000 square feet. It's going to be 7 indoor courts. And we put a lot of thought into how we are designing the space. So there's a lot of open areas, open seating areas. We're investing heavily in proper lighting, so tennis, pickleball specific lighting, and then also acoustic absorption material. One of the big issues, and I didn't realize this until I started going around and playing in other facilities, is that you have these confined spaces, even though, albeit large, they're still walled in from ceiling to and walls, and you just have noise bouncing off every single surface. And if you don't have some kind of sound deadening material, it just makes for a terrible experience. I've been in some facilities where you can't even hear your partner shout the score across the court.
Oh, wow. That's funny. I was talking to the owners of Chill Axes up in Crofton.
Stacy,
yeah. And she was saying that they had an issue initially because they're like right next door to a yoga studio.
Yeah.
So that common wall, thunk, thunk, thunk. It was not conducive to the yoga.
No, it's not conducive to getting into that meditation zone.
True. So this is I want to say a professional, like a racquetball club or a tennis club along those lines. So I mean, you're going to have the amenities that are in there. I mean, you can shower and
yes, exactly. We wanted to have all the amenities, so it's going to be climate controlled. We have full bathrooms, changing rooms, showers for men and women. We have water stations. We have an open event area, dedicated space. So for folks that want to have private parties or corporate events, fundraising events, we're holding a fundraising event already this fall for a local engineering firm that raises money for women in STEM scholarships. So we're really excited the way that the facility is set up is you walk in the middle, and then there are 4 courts to your left and 3 courts to your right. So they're going to reserve the 4 courts on the left, which also includes the 1,500 square feet of event space, and we'll have food and drinks, and hopefully they'll be able to raise a lot of money for their scholarships.
That'll be fun. Now, is it a membership thing, or is it a pay-go? I mean, do I need to be a member to play there, or can I just walk in and say, hey, here's some money for a court for an hour?
It's a great question. So it'll be both membership and open to the public. But, I think the membership incentives will really encourage folks to sign up for the membership. So the memberships will get you priority access to all the court reservations, and we expect them to fill up pretty quick. And it'll also get you discounted court fees and some other benefits with some of our partners. You'll have discounts on some of the merchandise and paddles,
sure,
clothing, apparel. So the membership's pretty affordable. It's going to range anywhere from $50 a month up to, I think it's $140 for the family memberships. And that'll also allow you to reserve courts 7 days in advance. Whereas if you're a non-member, you can only reserve courts 1 day in advance.
Okay. And I'm assuming that your actual court time is on top of the membership?
Correct. So the memberships will get you a reduced court reservation fees. It's about 50% of what non-members would pay.
Okay.
So if you play more than twice a month, it's
going to pay for itself.
Yeah.
That's for sure. How are you going to do that? Is that all going to be online reservations and stuff like that at some point?
Yeah. So we're using the #1 software that's used for both tennis clubs and pickleball. It's called Court Reserve.
Oh, okay.
And so folks can download the app. It's pretty easy to use, and they can go in, they can reserve courts through the app, they can make all their payments through the app, they can store all their information in the app, and then if they play at multiple clubs, they can also manage all of those clubs through a single app.
I'm curious to you a native, or I don't know whether you're native of Severna Park, but I mean you're a resident of certain parks, and I know I spoke with Sarah Aiken, who's down here in Annapolis, and she is like the pickleball ambassador, and she just lives, breathes, eats, and bleeds pickleball. In talking with her, you would think that, pickleball was more popular than cars in Annapolis. And obviously she's a good evangelist for it. But is the need, do you find, now you're in somewhat of a different market, you're a little bit north of us. Is the market, is it great? I mean, you've obviously done your research before you've, started swinging hammers.
Yeah, we did a lot of market research. Initially, I was looking at locations in the Annapolis area, and but yeah, going back to Sarah, I met Sarah Aiken, and she's fabulous. She introduced me to a lot of folks and helped me get a better understanding of the overall landscape in the area. But if you go to any public court, whether it's Truxton in Annapolis or Cypress Creek in Severna Park or even Maga Vista over in Arnold, you'll see that there is a need for more court space. I mean, I just went to Maga Vista on Sunday morning, and it was packed. I mean, you had to wait to play on the courts, and there were, I believe, 8 courts set up. So 4 people a court, 8 courts, 32 people plus people waiting, and we got there at 8 o'clock.
Okay, and that's in the summer, and you're screwed in the winter if it's a typical winter, not like the one we just got out of. But
yeah, that's kind of what sparked this whole business concept. Is I was playing in this league, and it was in our fall league. Everything was winding up, and we were all kind of looking at each other, and we're like, where the hell are we going to play in winter, or even in the fall when it starts getting cold and windy and rain? And it kind of, a light bulb went off, and I started looking at what was available for indoor play in this area, and there wasn't much available. I had just exited from my last company. I was looking for something to do, and I started jotting down numbers and going through the business plan and what the revenue versus cost would look like. And then I slowly started pitching this idea to folks, because the big challenge to me was that people were playing for free, right? Could you get people to pay to play at a facility? So I started pitching this idea to the folks that are in this pickleball league. And every week we'd go and play a different team, and I'd pitch this idea of, hey, what if I open an indoor facility? Would you be willing to pay? How much would you be willing to pay?
Well, that makes sense. I mean, anything that you are involved with or are passionate with, I mean, if there's a way to make it easier to do, and I get the public courts. I mean, you sit there and you wait, okay, are you done yet? To try to get out there and get a court, whether that's tennis or even baseball or anything like that. I mean, if you have the ability to do it, and it's not unreasonable. I mean, let's face it, we're in a fairly affluent area, right, that that can do that. I mean, when you see houses going for $12 million on the, on the water, you got to figure somebody can afford a couple bucks for some pickleball time. But I mean, again, you're looking at this as a fitness level. This is a fitness routine and a fitness regimen as well as entertainment. So, I mean, you're paying, I know there's gyms that are, several $100s a month.
Oh man, yeah, the CrossFit gyms, they're wild. It's $150 a month.
Well, it's funny. I was reading an article about y'all in the Baltimore Business Journal, and it doesn't seem like you're looking to slow down. And I did notice on, I would say, the website, which was Pickleball at the Dink initially, and that's going to change, I'm assuming.
It will, but even if you go to that website, it'll route you to the new one.
Okay. I did notice that the email address is info@thedinkusa.com.
Yes, correct.
So is there an expansion under?
Yeah, that's
the back of your mind.
That's was the ultimate plan. I really wanted to take the model that we deployed in the cannabis industry and where we opened 4 labs in 4 years, and mimic that business model here in the pickleball industry, where we could have proof of concept and then quickly open other facilities at other locations. I think we have kind of slowed down with that just because you're starting to see so many facilities open up. I think we really want to hone in and carve out our market and see what works and what doesn't work. So when we do go to duplicate in other locations, that we do it in a way that will last. Because this industry really reminds me a lot of cannabis, where everyone's just piling in. And I think it'll be interesting to see how things settle, how the dust settles in 3 to 4 years. And we want to make sure that we move forward with a business plan that is certainly going to sustain.
Well, I think you've got the opportunity to separate yourself from the competition. I do know that there's a couple, like in Frederick or Montgomery County, that I've heard are opening up indoor facilities, and the experience and the service and I'll say the amenities. I mean, you've got a real good opportunity to set yourself apart. There's incredible loyalty. Edgewater Fitness people will be like, yeah, no, that place sucks. And Annapolis people go, no, that place sucks. And I mean, but you've got the opportunity to turn around and really build that loyalty here.
Everything that we're going to do is going to be rooted in customer service. We want to create a good experience, an unforgettable experience to everyone that comes through our facility. And that has to do with the facility itself, with the folks that are staffing the facility, and then also our instructors. I was lucky enough to be introduced to some of the most well-known instructors in this area, and they're all going to be providing lessons, whether it's group or private, at the facility. And I'm really excited about having them teach and instruct at the facility. I think they're going to be able to provide unparalleled service that you're not going to find anywhere else.
It's not very hard to learn, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about pickleball, is that it's not like golf or tennis, where you really have to put in a lot of time, and even with golf, a lot of capital resources to play. Pickleball, it's easy. You can get a paddle on Amazon. You can get a mid-range paddle for $100, and you can go to a public court and play. And
that's the only equipment you need, except for the ball, right? And the net, and I mean, which is what you're providing. But I mean, literally, it's a paddle and a pair of sneakers.
Correct. Yeah.
Do you call them sneakers or tennis shoes?
I go with tennis shoes. Yeah, I go with tennis shoes. It may be a generational thing.
I think it's a regional thing.
A regional thing.
I think it's a regional thing. Where are you from? Maryland originally?
I am. So I grew up in Harford County. I went to Folsom High School, and really have lived in Maryland minus 2 years for my entire life.
Okay. Well, I mean, are you looking to, as you expand the PutAway, are you looking to franchise this, or are you looking to maintain, or is that up in the air?
I think we're probably not looking to franchise, just because the brand that we are establishing, we really want to retain control over. And I think in order to do that, it would be difficult and challenging to find franchisees that would put as much passion and emotion into it that our team would. So I think we would like to open up into other locations under our umbrella versus franchise.
That speaks really well for the company and the passion that you have, that you're not willing to allow a franchisee to be able to skimp, if you will.
Absolutely not. We want our customers, if they go to the PutAway in Severna Park versus the PutAway in Frederick, we want them to have the same experience and be able to expect the same experience.
What are the hours going to be on the PutAway? Do we know?
Yeah, so right now we're looking at 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Lots of court time.
7 days a week, yeah. I mean, we want it to be open. I know groups that play before work, at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., so we'll look at extending those hours if those groups need it. And then I know, we started playing at 8:30 at night, and we would play till the lights went off. So there's definitely a group of like middle-aged guys that put their kids down and then go out and play pickleball until the lights go off.
That's cool. I'm not going to put you on the spot. I know you said we're opening in the summer, and we all know how the county can work on this, but what is your tentative target date?
So the target date for now is August, and thankfully, and many thanks to St. John Property, construction has gone smoothly, all the permitting has gone smoothly. My experience with the county has been great so far. I know others have not, but my experience with the county has been great. So we're hoping to get open in August.
It's funny, St. John's Property, another business in town, Rehab to Perform. They've got several locations through St. John's Property, and Josh said the exact same thing. He said opening up this new location was just an absolute dream with St. John's Property. You put it in, they came in, they built it out, it was on time, the permits were done, and it just sailed through. So I think that's probably with St. John, you got the right landlord.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a blessing. Our business model as we went out and started opening up other facilities was to hopefully purchase and develop land. But, going through this process with St. John's kind of is making me rethink that, because the process has just been so easy. And, managing subs and finding subs and managing the timeline, you would have to hire a
project manager.
Yeah,
sure.
You would have to hire a project manager to do that.
Is pickleball at thedink.com the best place to go right now?
Yeah, pickleball at thedink.com. You can also find us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Probably we distribute more communications through Instagram right now than anything, but I encourage everyone to go to our website and sign up for updates. Promise not to spam you.
And you do have a sign-up form on the website as well, which you're promised no spamming.
No spamming. I hate getting spam.
But what that'll keep you all the information on going up and everything else.
Yeah, it'll do two things. So one thing, we're running a promotion right now where we're giving away one free hour of playtime every 2 weeks to folks that have signed up in that period. So go ahead and sign up. And then another thing that'll give you access to is we will be releasing our pre-sale membership. So that'll be issued in limited release, and that'll give you lifetime incentives that other folks won't be able to obtain. And we will be issuing that first to the folks that have signed up through our website.
And that will let you know exactly when it's going to be opening up. And we're going to certainly be following this as well, because this is exciting. I mean, this is a big facility. It's something, obviously, that you told me has a big demand here in the county and beyond. So this is exciting, and congratulations. You have all your hair, I see, so you haven't pulled it all out yet, so that's always a good thing.
Wait, hold on. The big question is, have you played yet?
Oh, no, not yet.
Oh, you didn't even do research before
I know.
We got to get you out on the court then. But
come August, I'll get my fat butt out on the court.
I'm telling you, body shape, size, and athleticism, it has nothing to do with it. And I think you'll be hooked. You'll be hooked because you'll see yourself get better quickly, and at a pace that it'll just leave you wanting more. And that's what I think it's one of the greatest aspects of the sport.
All right, well, then I'll put you back on the spot since you threw it back to me. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good of a player are you?
Oh, man. I mean, I think you have to take whatever anyone responds to this question and deduct a couple points off of it. But I would say I'm a 3-0. I'm a 3-0. I'm right in the middle.
Okay, so you're a 1 then. I take a call. Okay, I got you. All right, well, we'll see you in August, Tim.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this week's Local Business Spotlight. Please make sure to visit eyeonannapolis.net for all your local news, events, and opinion. And in case you haven't already, please subscribe to the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief, where we bring you all the day's local news direct to your phone, tablet, or computer in about 10 minutes. It comes to you at 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday, and you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.